Marks at the General Assembly is the former ambassador to the UN, Mark Wallace. Ambassador is also the CEO for the nonprofit organization United Against Nuclear Iran. Ambassador, it's great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Your organization released a statement this afternoon. I'll just read the first line of it.
Sure.
Those who are expecting a dramatic departure are disappointed when talking about Rouhani's speech. Why were you disappointed?
I think in the run-up to the UNGA, there was this incredible public affairs campaign by the Iranian government where they were changing the tone, trying to be conciliatory. And if you had heard that speech in a vacuum, separate from that public affairs campaign, you would have said it was very much the same old, other than a few references to the Holocaust, which are, of course, terrible, and naming the United States and Israel by name. The bill of particulars that President Rouhani laid out critical of the United States and the West were very similar to what we've seen from nearly every Iranian president previously. So I think the buzz in the diplomatic community was one of disappointment.
So you'd really say nothing new?
No, I think that there is hope. I mean, substance has to meet those hopeful expectations. And what we saw today was not the expected tone in the first instance, and certainly not the substance that we were hoping for.
When Rouhani says Iran doesn't want nuclear weapons, won't have nuclear weapons, you say?
Well, remember, the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, and every president over the last several presidents has said that Iran's program is peaceful. But at the same time, the International Atomic Energy Agency and every reasonable government has concluded that the only real purpose for Iran's program is a military one, because they're doing things in that program that make no civilian sense.
Well, won't they have to prove it? If these diplomatic talks go on, won't Iran have to prove it doesn't have nuclear weapons and it's not going to build nuclear weapons, or it won't work?
Well, that's been one of the challenges. Over the years, Iran has not complied with the provisions of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which allows full and robust inspections of its many nuclear facilities. To date, Iran has not complied, and the IAEA and its inspectors are very dissatisfied because they haven't been able to get into these facilities to see their true intent.
So the question comes to my mind, so maybe Iran has changed. Is it possible that Iran has changed? Is it possible that Rouhani has changed?
Well, we hope so. Remember, Iran has been subject to very robust international sanctions.
Maybe they worked?
Maybe the pressure that's been on that economy and the fragile state of that economy has impressed upon its leadership that in order to have a functioning economy, it should give up a military-based nuclear program. We hope.
So your organization is against nuclear weapons in Iran, obviously. I mean, would you suggest that the United States get serious about diplomacy here and try to work this out, or not?
Well, whatever you do, whether or not you support President Obama or not, he ran on a campaign of engagement with Iran. In his inaugural speech, in his first term, he said, I extend my outstretched hand to Iran to have direct negotiations.
He didn't outstretch his hand today at the United Nations,
well,
though, did
that's
he?
not true. I think that's wrong. If you look at the White House briefing,
I mean physically.
Well,
he didn't shake hands with him.
Well, actually, he tried. And the White House has said over and over again today that they tried to arrange a direct one-on-one meeting between President Rouhani and President Obama. And certainly the tone that you saw from President Rouhani today was not really the tone of a man that was ready to meet President Obama.
So you would say that the U.S. has been sort of conciliatory to Iran?
I think President Obama has made it clear that he is directly and open to bilateral talks. To date, we haven't had them. We're going to have.
And you think that's a mistake?
A mistake by?
A mistake by the U.S.
Well, I think that
we should be tougher.
No, I think it's important that we exercise all the options on the table for a very difficult regime that's the leading state sponsor of terrorism, that's pursuing an illegal nuclear weapon. That means you engage in robust diplomacy to hope you resolve it. You pursue robust economic sanctions. You engage in things that are special operation type things, including, God knows, computer viruses and the like.
But not bilateral talks.
And you engage in military planning by keeping the military option on the table. I think if President Rouhani was serious about negotiating, I see no reason why there shouldn't be bilateral talks, and President Obama has offered that.
And you think he is serious? Do you?
Absolutely,
I mean,
President Obama is serious.
No, I mean the president of Iran. I mean, based on what you heard today, you think he's serious?
I think today we saw the real Rouhani and the real domestic considerations, which was a much harsher tone than this public affairs campaign in the run-up to the UNGA.
So this, if Rouhani isn't serious, let's say Rouhani isn't serious, that it's a fake out, then what's the point? What's the point of this?
Well, first of all, Rouhani could be serious. Remember, the real leader of Iran is the supreme leader, the Ayatollah. So clearly this public affairs campaign was designed to end or try to end or limit Iran's international isolation and the robust economic sanctions that Iran's economy is facing.
Rouhani says he is authorized to negotiate, though.
Hopefully we'll be able to test that theory.
Right.
And if he had met with President Obama, and if there were actually bilateral talks, we could perhaps test that theory.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to judge where you stand on this. I mean, is it cautious and move forward with diplomatic talks, or is it more, let's Iran show the United States seriously whether or not you really want to do this?
John, every president, every new world leader is judged by their first 100 days in office. Let's face it, if President Rouhani and the Supreme Leader were serious about changing Iran's substance, their nuclear program, and the way they want to negotiate, they could do it today. They could do it at the UNGA. They could do it anywhere. They could do it in Washington or New York. So let's hope that they're serious, but until we see real substantive action in that direction, I think we have to be very cautious.
I mean, it's been 34 years.
Is that all?
I mean, 34 years, and I mean, what has happened since then to make you so convinced that it's possible Iran isn't serious about negotiating?
Well, history has to be our guide, and we've seen these types of sort of reach outs by Iran before, and they haven't been backed up with substance. If you talk to the P5+1 negotiators, the people that have been trying to negotiate with Iran, they'll tell you stories of the hectoring diplomats that talk about Iran's right to enrichment and all these things that were very much politely repeated by President Rouhani today. So I think that there was a lot of hope in the run-up to the UNGA with this public affairs campaign, but there was some cold water that by the president himself.
You will be watching, I know. We'll all be watching. It's great to see you, Ambassador. Thanks for being with us.
Good seeing you. Thank you.
As